Soundstripe.
Good evening, and welcome to My Spouse is My Best Friend. I'm your co-host, Nicole.
And I'm Dr. Jason Green.
And today we want to talk about how to hold your spouse down during difficult times.
That's a good one.
Yes, how to hold you down, because I love you.
Oh, you're so sweet. Why don't you tell the audience what does holding down mean for people that don't know?
Yeah, so we know that marriage can be a good times, but love endures, right? And so love shows up and it is real during those hard times. And so it's so funny because I know that when we go through difficult things, I know it's my love that's not yelling at you.
In other words, holding down your spouse basically about me being a source of strength, right, in those difficult times, and being security, and just loving them through whatever they're going through. Because you know, marriage is a roller coaster, so you're going to go through different things in your life that are going to affect both of you, affect your family, affect your relationship, and everything else. So holding down your spouse is being there for them.
Being there.
hmm So one thing, emotional support. So how
Yeah.
can you emotionally support your spouse?
Yeah. So even when your spouse is going through things that sometimes you might not even understand, sometimes they don't talk, especially from a guy's perspective. They hold things in. They think, I'm the rock and I got everything. And so, ladies, we know during that time that something's going on. So we're not going to press it, but we're going to be that support that they need through emotional support. So when they're ready to talk to them, we're going to listen without judgment. We're not going to interject of what we think they should do. We should listen to what they have to say. We also need to validate their feelings, right? And so I hear you understand. I understand that you're going through that. Again, using your I statements, ladies. And then also being that safe place where they can come to you to talk about those things. There's nothing like having a husband or a spouse that feel like they can't go to their spouse because they're not a safe space.
Yeah, and for husbands, I mean, we know that's exactly what we do, and it's hard for us to admit because we almost feel like it's a failure, and we're leading the household. But this is what you married your wife for, right? For support, for your backbone, for your rib. So why not? And so by you creating that safe space and by listening and not judging and telling me what to do,
Right.
it's easy to come to you and say, "Hey, dude," or not dude, but hey, this is what I'm going through. And be able to talk it out. And she doesn't. She doesn't try to, she validates, she empathizes, and she doesn't try to fix it. She's there to listen. And then if it's affecting our whole family, we're going to talk about, what are next steps. So making it easy for us, talking to the wives, to come to you and create that safe space. And it goes both ways, but I think it more is for men or us because it's hard for us to do that in the first place.
And next, we want to talk about practice support, practical support. And so, again, you just need to check in with your spouse each and every day just to make sure they are okay. And then just kind of notice. So, as you're getting to build your foundation and getting to learn more about your spouse, you'll start noticing when things are off. And so, it's, hey, I noticed that X, Y, and Z is happening. Do you want to talk about it, or is there something that I can help you with?
And remember, when you're going through those things, whether it may be loss of job or loss of a family member or whatnot, remember that, this is a partnership, right? And it's not always going to be equal. It's not going to be 50-50, it barely. It might be 60-40, 70-30. But when those things happen, one of you have to step up. And usually it's the one that's not going through that. So make sure you step up in your daily responsibility, try to take that load off to try to support your spouse. Um, Share the load with the finances or kids or say, hey, babe, I already know you're going through this, or I know you have to do this. I'll go ahead and take the kids to school today. Or I know you lost your job. I mean, this is a real example. About 3 weeks ago, found out my job was getting eliminated. So we're getting bought out. And, that's a big thing. I mean, that's a big chunk of finances. And they're buying us out to put us out of business. So we had to go through that. And, she gave me the safe space. I said, hey, babe, I'm not going to have a job in 3 weeks. And, going through that and remembering that, hey, this is what we need to do. Let's have a plan. Let's talk about it. And what if I don't find a job in a month? What if I don't find a job in 2 months? What if I don't find a job in 3 months? What are we going to do? How are we going to survive? Right? I mean, we have contingency plans, but still, emotionally, I was like, the initial shock was, I'm not going to have a job, and how am I going to support my family? Right? I mean, yeah, she works, but still, I am the ones. People look at me when the bills are not paid. Right? If the water goes off, the light goes off, something, they always say, "Well, what's he doing over there?" So I had that thing, but the foundation that we built, I felt comfortable coming to my spouse and being like, "Hey, we need to come up with a plan." And first talking through it, going through the emotional thing and whatnot, and being like, "Hey, what am I going to do?" But then really sitting down and being able to talk through it and have a plan, and her being open, what we just talked about, with listening and validating and all that kind of stuff. So that's a real life example, and we're living it right now.
Yeah, and that's just a perfect example of showing love with your actions and not just your words. And then going into our next topic is through spiritual and encouragement. And so, of course, that's what we did. That was our next steps. Is, oh my goodness, we're going to be down one paycheck. So what are we going to do? So what's the next option? We're going to pray. We're going to pray about it and ask God for guidance.
And that's exactly what we did. We prayed about it. Y'all know we always talk about our walks in the morning. We always talk about our Wine Now Wednesdays that we do. And we just really prayed through it. And,